Okay, welcome, my dear friends. Very good evening to all the CPGET 2025 aspirants and other competitive exam aspirants like JL, DL, GURUKUL, GL, DL, and PGT, and other competitive exams. You may hearty welcome. So today's our eminent resource person, Dr. Pamuraju Manjula Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, uh, Osmania University, Hyderabad. Madam is going to explain most important topic in population ecology. So that is also very important in CSA or NET, UGC, NTA, and other TG set, Telangana state level eligibility test for assistant professors and lecturership. So that's why it is most valuable and very important class, my dear friends. Each and every point is most important. What is natality, what is mortality, and also the growth curves, and also the other most important pyramids or growth age pyramids also most important. So, madam, please welcome and start your session, madam. Please welcome. If possible, please you may uh, expand the slides. So, otherwise, click on slideshow. Please click on slideshow.
Sir, so
Okay, madam.
today's
Okay.
topic is population ecology and what are the characteristics of the population ecology. So we already discussed about some of the characteristics of the population ecology. So mainly population ecology, it is the study of populations in relation to its environment. So it includes environmental influences and the population density, distribution, age structure, and variation in population size. So that is the study of, so here in this population ecology, we are discussing about the population density and how the distribution of these populations which are occurring in a area, and also the age structures of the populations and population size. So these are the characteristics of the population, that is population size, okay, population density, dispersion patterns, demographics, survivalship curves, and population growth. So these are the main characteristics of the population. To study the population, so we know other some idea on these characteristics. So first one is the population, population size. So population size, generally it is denoted by the N. So it is the number of individual organisms in a population. So it is called as a population size. So population size means, so the number of individual organisms which are living in a particular area, which constitute the population size. Okay. So the factors which mainly influence this population size are birth rate, crude death rate, immigration, and emigration. So that is natality, that is birth rate means that is the natality. So that is which is the ratio of total live births to a total population in a particular area over a specified period of time. So it is constitute the natality, that is birth rate. Mortality, so that is the death rate. So which is also the ratio of the total number of deaths to the total population. And another one is another factor which influences the population size is immigration, that is the number of organisms which are moving into the area, into that particular area occupied by the population. It is called as immigration, whereas the emigration means that is they are moving out from that area, so it is called as the emigration. So these are the main factors which influence the population size. So mainly that is natality and immigration, they helps in increase the population size, whereas the mortality and emigration so mainly helps in decrease the population size. Okay, so next one is the okay, so factors that increase the population size are natality, that is it is the which mainly helps in increase the population through reproduction, and immigration, that is from the external population, that is they are moving to that area. Example for this is bird migration, immigration. So the factors which reducing the population size are mortality and emigration. So here the mortality means which is the death rate from any source due to, for example, here the due to predation. So the number of that organisms may be decreasing here. Immigration, so here individuals are leave that area. So it is so due to which also here the population size is decreasing. So here that is the population size increases by birth by addition of births and immigration. So here the population size is increasing, whereas that is moving out from that area, immigration and due to deaths. So here the population size is decreasing. So this is the first characteristic of the population ecology. So population change, that is births plus immigration minus deaths plus immigration. So next one is the next characteristic, that is the population density. So it is a measurement of the number of people in an area. That is the number of people which are living in that area. So it is an average number. So generally, which shows the number of people per square kilometers. That is density is equal to population by area. So generally here population density, which is also refers to the size of the population, and it is the average number of individuals per unit area or volume of the habitat are taken into consideration. So here for example here the 200 oak trees which are present in one hectare area, or 100 insects which are present in 100 square meter, like that. So here we can calculate the density. So population density, that is a change, it is also change over time and space, and it is the basic relative measure of how an organism which is respond to the local environment mainly, which is typically implied as a population density. So density will be low if the conditions are unfavorable for this species. Organisms will be perished or emigrated out if there is no availability of food. So they will move to other areas, but high if the conditions are favorable. Organisms will be reproduced and are immigrated into that area. If the sources are availability of nutrition or food materials are ready, so other organisms also, they can also move that area. So due to which here the density also increases. So the change in the density can reveal the information about the history of the species, species preference, and also the tolerance of the individuals of the species. So based on this density, the change in density, we can also, it also helps for the to know the species preferences and also the tolerances to the particular environmental conditions. So the dynamics of the most of the populations of these organisms are mainly influenced by the combined action of the density dependent factors and also the density independent factors. So the density dependent factors in ecology are mainly any force that affects the size of the population of the species in response to the density of the population. So these factors also known as the regulating factors because their potential for controlling the density. So for example, here the competition for the food, water or habitat, which rises among the individuals of a population. So with the increase in the population density. So however, density decreases. The effect of the density dependent factors also decreases as the competition for food, water and shelter becomes less for few individuals. So the density dependent factors of the environment are mainly physical factors that do not depend upon the density of the population. So these factors which differ depending on the population and also the effect which mainly regardless to its size, like temperature or natural disorders, pollution and availability of oxygen in the atmosphere, etc. So these are the density independent factors. So next one is the population density. So here mainly, so the main attributes of this population density are based on the movement of these organisms, that is mobility, and also the another one is the size. Small animals or plants, generally they are usually more abundant than the large animals and plants. So here another one is the measurement of this density. So mainly the density which is measured by two methods, that is total count method and sampling method. So in total count method, that is it is the direct counting of the population, that is which is possible for only few animals, mainly for the breeding colonies, which can be photographed and then later counted. So example for this total count method is mainly it is used for the human population census and also the trees in a given area. So we can use this for total count method, that is the direct counting method, this one. So which is used for mainly for the counting the human population and also the trees in a given area. So another one is the sampling method, so which mainly depends on the type of the organism, and also again it is two types, that is plot based method, that is quadrant method, and capture based method. So in quadrant method, generally here it is generally it is used for the plant studies. That is the total population is equal to average number per quadrant into total area by area of the quadrant. So here during this process, so here we are taking the quadrats, we draw the quadrats, are we make into quadrats in a given area, and we can count the number of species which are present in that area. Another one is the mark recapture method. So in this method, which is used for mobile species mainly. So it is first used by the Peterson to estimate the fish abundance, because the fishes, they will move continuously in the water. So for this method, so they use this mark recapture method. So in this method, so first they are marked with some specific method. So here in this method, so this is the mark recapture method. So in this method, so we are marking the species with some specific giving the some marks to that, and by counting the number of individuals in that area, like that. So if the unmarked, we can also count the unmarked and marked like this, so that we can count the correctly. Another one is the population dispersion. So the dispersion of the population, that is the arrangement, the spatial arrangement of these organisms in a particular area. So it is the population dispersion. So the dispersion of a population, it is a pattern of spacing among the individuals within a given boundaries, geographical boundaries. So this is three types. Dispersion is three types, that is clumped dispersion, random dispersion, and uniform dispersion. In first one, that is in clumped dispersion means, so here the individuals, they are aggregated in patches. So it is called as a clumped dispersion. So example for this is, so here many animals such as these wolves, generally they are living in groups, and which increases the effectiveness of the hunting. So this clumped dispersion, which is also helpful for these organisms for the mainly for the hunting and spread the work of protection and also the caring for the young individuals, and also which also helps to exclude the other individuals from their territory. Another one is the uniform dispersion, that is the evenly spaced distribution, in which the members of the population maintain a minimum distance from one another. So mainly it is seen in the plants due to competition for water, sunlight, and our nutrients. So here they are placed uniformly. So here example for this is, here the uniform dispersion we can observe in this penguins. So here they are uniformly spaced. Another one is a random dispersion. So it is a spacing pattern mainly based on the total unpredictability. So it is the least common pattern of distribution. So here they are spaced irregularly. So because the reasons are the members of the species, they do not frequently interact with one another, are not heavily influenced by the microenvironments. So here example, here is the dandelions. They grow from the wind blow seeds. So they grow irregularly. So the factors which affecting the distribution are density dependent factors and density independent factors. So here the density independent factors are mainly floods, hurricanes, or unseasonable weather, fire, clear cutting, or pesticide spraying. So these comes under the density independent factors, whereas the density dependent factors like competition for resources or predation, parasitism, and infectious diseases. So this comes under density dependent factors. So another one is the demography, another characteristic of the population, that is the demography. So it is the study of the vital statistics of the population and how they change over a time. So it is called as demography. So two statistics that are particular important are the age structure and also the population sex ratio. So first one is a sex ratio, that is, it is a ratio of males to females in a population. And the human sex ratio, generally here the human sex ratio is a particular interest. Mainly we can use this. And here the another one is the age structure. So that is the age structure which describes the number of individuals in each age class as a ratio of one class to another. So again, so these age classes can be again specific categories. Such as people in the same age range. So here again these age structures, here the three categories of age structures, that is pre-reproductive, that is ages from 0 to 14, it comes under the pre-reproductive. And another one is the reproductive age structure, age, that is the from the 15 to 44, and post-reproductive age, that is the 45 and above. So it is a post. So these are the age structure. So that is this age structure diagram, that is the graphical illustration of that shows the distribution of various age groups and sex ratio in a population. So it is called as the age structure diagram or population pyramid. So here this side is the males, and this side is the left side is the males, and right side is the females. And also here generally at the base of the pyramid, so which is always occupied by the pre-reproductive age, and at the top which is always occupied by the post-reproductive age. So here these population pyramids are age structure diagram, so which may be different in different organisms or populations, and also in the different countries also. So in different areas also these structures may be varies, are not always this upright. So for example, here these three diagrams are given here. That is, for example, in Afghanistan. So here that is upright. So here in another country, that is in United States, so the pyramid is somewhat horn shaped. So here the base is low and top is also low, but at the reproductive age is more here. Like this. So here decreased structure, pyramid structure, we can observe in the Italy. So here, what you call here, pre-reproductive is less when compared to reproductive age, and here when compared to reproductive, so here the post-reproductive age structure is less here. So these are the different rapid growth, slow growth, and decreased growth we can observe in the different areas or different countries also, and different organisms also it may be varies. So another one is the life tables. So life table, that is the mortality table. So it is a table mainly which shows for each age, so what the probability is that person of that age will die before his or her next birth. So it is called as a life table or mortality table. So from this starting point, that is number of interferences which can be derived, that is the probability of surviving any particular year of age or remaining life expectancy for people at different ages, and also the separately for it is also for the separately for men and women, because of their substantially different mortality rates. We can observe the different mortality rates in men and women. So like if we have the information of natality and mortality in different ages and sexes, so we can combine it to form the life table. So we can create this life table by knowing the information about this natality, that is birth rate, mortality, that is death rate in different ages, and also the sexes. We can combine to decline of the population from this, so we can know about the population decline, how increase in population and decrease in the population we can be studied. And in each table there are columns for age of individuals, number of survivals of each age, and number of dying in each age group, and also the proportion of dying from the previous age category, fertility rate, and number of young born by each age group. So we can know the information. So the information obtained from these figures which provide the net reproductive rate of the population, that is the offsprings left by the each individual. Similarly, this mortality is also estimated, and these are then used to study the population growth. So, for example, these the life table of the building squirrels here at Taiga Pass. So here, these are the age that is here in this life tables. We can take the information about the age and also the number of leaves at the starting year and proportion of leave at the start of the year and the number of deaths during the year and death rate and average additional life expectancy. So like that, so we can take all this information to give to know the life tables. So it may also differ from for males and females. So for example, here when we observe the death rate, that is 0.61 here. Here death rate is 0.65 for males. Like that, so that is in the age 0 to 1 age. So here the death rate is 0.61. Here 0.65. High in males. Like this. So we can get the information about the life tables. So another one is the survivalship curves. So it is the graph which showing the number or proportion of the individuals which are surviving at each age for a given species or a group. So it is constructed for a given cohort, that is a group of individuals roughly at the same age. We can take the same age group of individuals and based on the life table only. So these survivalship curves also we can that is a graph, that is the drawing the graph by taking the life table. So here we can observe the three types of survivalship curves, that is type 1, type 2 and type 3. So these are the three types. So first this one is the type 1. Mainly it is observed in humans, and type 2 curve. So we can observe in the songbirds, and this one is the type 3 curve. So generally it is observed in the frogs. So on the graph, so we can take the time and percentage of organisms surviving. So in type 1, that is the survivalship curves, generally they are characterized by the high survival in early and middle life, which is followed by a rapid decline in the survivalship in later life. So in type 1, that is here, it is high and later it is declined here. And example for type 1 is the humans, and in type 2 curves, that is the curves are intermediate between the type 1 and 3. So where roughly constant mortality rate we can observe or experienced. Example, some birds we can observe in birds. And another one is the type 3 curve. So that is the greatest mortality is experienced early in the life and with relatively low rates of death for those surviving this bottleneck. So example is octopus or frogs we can observe. So that is mortality is high in the early, here less number we can observe, but later it is increased. So this is the type 3 curve. So another one is the population growth. So that is which refers to the how the number of individuals in a population increases or decreases with the time. So which is controlled by the rate at which the new individuals are added to the population, that is the birth rate, and the rate at which the individuals leave the population, that is the death rate. So here again, population growth, here two types, that is the exponential population or logistic population growth. Again, here the J-shaped growth curve and S-shaped growth curve we can observe. So when we take the graph representing the time and the population size. So in J-shaped, the growth rate of the population increases. Whereas in logistic, so it is unrestricted growth. So we can observe, generally it is J-shaped, whereas in the restricted growth curve, so here that is a logistic growth curve. So here starting, so it will increases, but later it is decreases. So the rate of accelerates and the point of maximum growth we can observe, and later the rate is slowed down. So it is called as the sigmoid growth curve, and this one is the J-shaped growth curve. So we can also observe these two types. So exponential growth. So if your population has a constant birth rate through the time and it is never limited by the food or diseases, so it has known as the exponential growth curve. So with the exponential growth, the birth rate alone controls how fast the population grows. So it is a continuous population growth in an unlimited environment can be modeled. That is dn by dt is equal to r max by r max into n. So here the population size n increases and rate of population also increases. So here, so it is directly proportional. That is, population size is directly proportional to the rate of increasing population. So for exponential growing population, size at any time can be calculated as nt is equal to n0 and e by r e to the power rt. That is, nt means number of individuals at time t, and n0, that is initial number of individuals, n0, and e is the base of the natural organisms, and r means per capita rate of increase, and it is the number of time intervals. So this is the mathematical equation for to calculate the exponential growth. So generally we can observe this in the bacteria. The number of bacterial cells are increasing. So exponential growth curve, that is J-shaped curve, we can observe in the bacteria. So here when we plot the graph between by taking the time and number of bacterial cells. So here it is with the 20 minutes, that time within minutes. So here it is increasing. So that is 0 times the number of cells is 1. So 20 at the 20 minutes, that is the number is 2 to the power of 1, like that. So it is increasing. So generally we can observe this exponential growth curve in the bacteria. Another one is the logistic population growth. So it is a resources are that is due to the depleted or population growth rate also slows. And eventually it also stops. That is the logistic population growth. That is sigmoid shape curve. Another one is, so generally it is mainly depends on this carrying capacity. That is K. So carrying capacity, it is the number of individuals of a population that environment can support. It is called as a carrying capacity. That is a generally in a particular environment. So how can it support this individual? The number of individuals of a population can be supported. So it is a finite number of resources can only support a finite number of individual organisms. So this can be this logistic population growth curve, which can be calculated by dn by dt is called r max n 1 minus n by k. So r max means that is a maximum per capita rate of increase and ideal conditions. So when n nears k, the right side of the equation 0. So n by k, if n and k are equal, then it becomes 0. So as the population increases, the logistic growth rate becomes small fraction of the growth rate. So highest when n is equal to k by 2. Okay, so here these are the mathematical concepts. So there is a logistic equation which gives the rate of the population change as a function of R max, mainly n, and also the k. So the ratio of n by k increases, the population growth slows. So change in number, the dn means change in number, dt means change in time, R max, that is the intrinsic rate of increase, n population size, and k carrying capacity. So generally we can see in the human population, generally here the population size and here the number of generations are taken into taken. So here the logistic growth curve. So here this one is a carrying capacity. So here that is the more number of organisms we can observe at this place only. So later it will declines. That is due to the environmental limits which result in the decline in the population. So up to here, so it is high. So we can also observe here in paramecium, also population the logistics. So smooth transition. So here the number of paramecia, so which will increase and later it is declined. So limitations to this population growth are so mainly environment, which also limits the population growth by altering the birth and also the death rates, and density dependent factors like diseases, parasite or resource competition. So population in general, they do not show this continuous geometric increase. So when density increases, so other organisms also reduces the fertility and longevity of the individuals in the population. So it also reduces the rate of increase of the population. So until evenly the population ceases to grow. So this growth curve is defined as a sigmoid curve or S shaped. Mainly that is the carrying capacity minus the maximum number of individuals that environment can support. So density independent factors like natural disorders and climate. So another one is another important topic, that is the KR selected and K selected species. So which was given by Mac, Arthur and Wilson in 1962. So R means, here R refers to the per capita rate of the increase. That is, R means reproductive capacity and K means carrying capacity. So R selected species, that is a species which is selected to maximize its rate of increase, are called as the R selected species. Whereas the K selected species means so a species which is selected to live at a constant level of population. So selection which favoring the rapid growth and should be favored in new or disturbed environment, and also less competition. We can observe the less competition in R selected species. Whereas in K selected species, so K, which refers to the carrying capacity and which is more prominent in the species that are typically at their carrying capacity, and which are also favors more efficient use of resources and live with the competition. So here we can observe the competition in selected species. There is no competition or less competition in R selected species. So these are the some of the characteristics of K selected populations and R selected populations. So generally like maturation time, so which is short for R selected population and it is long for K selected population. Lifespan, so it is less, that is short lifespan we can observe in the R selected species, whereas it is long for K selected species. Death rate is often high, we can observe high death rates, whereas it is low in K selected species. So number of offsprings which are produced for reproductive episode, that is many in R selected species, whereas few in K selected species. So number of reproductions per lifetime is usually 1. It is several times in K selected, whereas in R selected species only 1. So it is more, often several times we can observe in the K selected. And time of first reproduction, that is early in the life, whereas time of first reproduction, that is late in the life, we can observe in the K selected species. So another one is the size of offsprings or eggs are small size. We can observe in the R selected species, whereas in K selected that is large. And parental care is we cannot observe generally in the R selected population. So we can observe in the K selected population. So this is about the K selected and R selected species or populations. So this is totally about the characteristics of the population ecology. Okay, I will stop here. Sir?